The White House says President Trump will make a decision on whether to strike Iran within 2 weeks. Joining us now, retired four-star Army General Stanley McChrystal, who served as the commander of the U.S. forces in Afghanistan. He is now founder and CEO of consulting firm McChrystal Group. His latest book is On Character Choices that Define a Life. And General, it's good to have you on this morning.
Thanks, Joe.
Up to this point, with what we have seen and what President Trump, how he's been managing through this, do you think at this point he has been doing the right things, and is the latest 2-week period to maybe negotiate or whatever we're talking about, is that the right approach in your view?
Yeah, I think it is. It's never wrong to take the time to make sure you've thought something through before you do it. We get enamored with the idea of strike and awe, bunker busting bombs with the idea that a single strike is going to decide something, and it is not. So this is a long-term decision. We need to figure out what long-term outcome we can achieve with Iran, not just with their nuclear program, but with all the things they've been doing in the region for decades now. And we've been looking at this for decades. We've war-gamed potential scenarios about dealing with Iran's nuclear capability for years and years and years. But taking 2 weeks, there's no hurry right now. Israel has clearly created a new opportunity by weakening Iranian air defenses. But the reality is that will stay for a while. And even if they then do a strike with American aircraft, that doesn't end it. There's going to be a day after, and we need to think about what we're going to do and how we'll navigate that.
We had retired General Wesley Clark on, and actually earlier this week, and he said some similar things, but said there should be a two-track, system where you're ready to do something with the military, but you'd much prefer negotiating. And he said a couple of things that I don't know got me. He said we should get Wendy Cutler to go in, and they wasn't sure whether Steve Witkoff could do it. And I almost said, we're going to send John Kerry in too. Is that really where we are right now? And the Journal has something today, General. Just 3 things. The isolationists are unwilling to make distinctions and treat each one of these interventions on their own. No one's talking about putting boots on the ground. This may be nothing like Iraq or Afghanistan. The other difference, Iran almost does have a nuclear bomb at this point. No one was saying that about Iraq at the time. And number 3, an endless war. The real endless war is what we've been seeing from Iraq since 1979. In so many ways, with so much exporting of terrorism and Hamas and all these proxies. Isn't it possible it really is different this time?
I don't think so. And I actually think he nailed it earlier this week. General Clark nailed it. And it was Wendy Sherman he talked about going in, a proven professional. Military power, there's a concept called Hanian fleet in being. And it means that your military power is greatest when you are not using it, when it is the potential for action. U.S. military power was its greatest in the year 2000. We had won the first Gulf War. We were a hyperpower. But after 2001, when we started to go into Afghanistan and Iraq, everybody could see how long the dog's leash was, what our limitations were, where we struggled. I think in the case of Iran, our power right now is greatest in its potential, its ability to coerce. So I actually think General Clark is exactly right. We've got to use that power for coercion, try to follow a diplomatic outcome, because the reality is, suppose we bomb, suppose we take out the nuclear capability, and we've got 90 million irritated Iranians who just say, we're at war with the United States, we're at war with Israel. Everything we can do around the world for as long as we live, we will do. And we say, well, they don't have nukes. They can do an awful lot without nukes, and they could be a great irritation. So for us to enter that, then you get the question, okay, how do you stop that? And at some point, someone will come up with a great idea. We'll put people inside Iran so that we can actually clean out the hornet's nest. And, of course, as you just mentioned, that's problematic.
Well, we're back to assuming that Iraq and Iran are the same thing in terms of whether the population, if the mullahs finally lost power and that regime were out of power. I mean, maybe there's not roses being thrown like we were hoping in Iraq, but I'm not sure that it's necessarily the same situation. And when you talk about, well, we're going to hold it over their head, that we're going to, in the threat of military, that means you actually have to be willing to use the military force. And in the past, we didn't scare Iran. And the agreements that we came up with, all they did was find a way around them and cheat and not let inspectors in when they said they would. I mean, how many? It's fool me once, it's my fault, or it's your fault. Fool me twice, it's my fault. I mean, we've been fooled how many times with Iran at this point? And what are the prospects for a Middle East that doesn't have that Iranian regime causing trouble everywhere, with all its neighbors and around the world? That seems like a really... Do you agree with what Israel's trying to do, General?
Well, if I was Israeli, I absolutely would, because Iran's stated policy is destroy Israel. Now,
we're the great Satan. We're the great Satan. They're little Satan. I mean, this is, ask not for whom. They're after us. They don't like us either, do they?
Let me plant a thought with you, Joe. If you were an Iranian citizen, even if you didn't support the Ayatollah or the regime as it exists, would you still want your country to be a nuclear-armed nation? And I would argue you probably would, because being a nuclear-armed nation gets you a level of respect in the world. Just look at who's got it and who doesn't have it. Look at what happens to countries who give it up. So if I was an Iranian citizen on the street, even if I wanted regime change, I would still like security for my country, and nuclear weapons would be an additional part of that. So if we assume that we're going to convince the Iranian people, well, you should just give up your nukes and your regime, they may give up the latter, but the reality is their heart may in fact want security.
It almost sounds like you're arguing that they're never going to diplomatically give up their nukes unless you actually take that from them, like if the Israelis were to destroy, or with the help of the United States to destroy Fordo, and you're no centrifuges left, no scientists left. They're not going to have any choice at that point if they're always going to be holding on to this aspiration to acquire nukes. This regime can never have a nuke, right?
Well, what I am arguing is it's not 90 million irrational idiots in Iran. It's a bunch of rational people who see the world differently than we do. They have a different perspective. We may not agree with it, and we may, in fact, oppose it. We may resist it. We may do things against it. But we have to understand they come at it from a different angle, and they are going to have a level of commitment to that. Think of the North Vietnamese. During the Vietnam War, we thought that if we just increased bombing, we ratcheted up the pressure, we would get them to quit. What we didn't understand is they were asymmetrically committed to reuniting their country. There was no level of pain we could impose upon them that would cause them to quit. And they understood that we were different. We had a certain level of investment we were willing to make. Transfer that general concept to Iran and start to realize how we have to do diplomacy and action in all parts of the world.
Maybe I'm stuck in the past. I have the idea that, I mean, there were problems with the Shah and the whole pre-1979, but it was a far better place for its people. You may know, I don't know whether the 92 million, now we know it's 92 from Tucker Carlson. I'm not sure they're all behind this regime. I think it's some type of possibility for an Arab Spring if this were to happen. Once again, maybe I'm naive about it, but you think that the people are behind this regime's aspiration for nukes, 100%?
I think you have to separate the two. I think people can be against a regime and still believe in the nationalist cause of Iran, which could include nuclear weapons as part of their defense. Those are two separate issues.